All right, we're live. Welcome back to the Dispel Illusions podcast. I'm your host, Nick Zion. Today, it's going to be all about trauma. It's going to be all about dealing with these deep, dark things that I've dealt with. And if you're wondering, Nick, where have you been for the past week or two? What's been going on? And some may say that I was in a dark night of the soul. And I say, because I don't believe there's just one. For me, at least, it's been many layers of reality that I've woken up to. And I want you to picture this as imagine Inception. For those of you that have seen Inception, basically it's a dream within a dream. And that when you wake up from a dream, you pop up and then you're in another dream. All right, but it's different. And so that's what I realized was happening in my life. Like, I'm realizing that the way that I was perceiving things was a certain way. And as I realized that my own perception was causing my own suffering, it changed the whole ball game, because now it's completely different, right? And we're going to get into some deep philosophies on life and what I'm really looking at now, but I want to start with giving you tools, modalities, and a way to deal with this, okay? So I know that all of us have gone through some deep, dark things in our lives, and I didn't know how to deal with it before. And I didn't notice when it was coming up because I wasn't aware that that's how it worked. I wasn't aware that that's how trauma came up. So as I was unaware that it just kind of shows itself in the most unexpected ways, I now understand that the lessons are in the things that you don't think the lessons are in. Well, not you, but it's in me. The lessons are always in the things that, what? This is a lesson? But it just seems like somebody else's problem. No. See? That's the thing, right? For me. The thing is I looked at life like somebody else is doing something, right? And when they're doing something and I'm translating it as a problem, it's my problem, right? But I want to make very clear that setting boundaries in life is super, super important. So I'm not saying, hey, don't set boundaries with people, because that's also part of the lessons, is that there's a level of setting a boundary, but at the same time, being compassionate, right? And if you're watching and the lighting's going super bright and stuff like that, it's because the sun's coming out and stuff in the window right there. So the trauma started with when I was at a campfire with somebody, and I was at the campfire, and I told that person, which was my mom, I said, I'm gonna go inside and talk on the phone for a sec. I'll be back in a half an hour. And guess what? I wasn't back in half an hour. I was back in about an hour and a half, and I said I'd be back by dark because it was supposed to be dark in a half an hour, so it just didn't happen. I just got into a call, and the time went by faster than I thought, and I wasn't being malicious in any way. But that's what the intent seemed to be on her end, right? So I just went back outside to the campfire, and I said, I'm sorry. Well, she was mad, and I was like, you look mad. You know how you walk outside sometimes, and you see the look on somebody's face, and they just got that. They got that eye. Or some people got those lips, right? They got those lips that they start coming together, right? They get really tight, and so you just can read the body language, right? And I just knew she was mad. And as I knew she was mad, I said, okay, you look mad, what's up? And she's like, you said you were gonna be an hour and a half. Why are you not? You said you're gonna be half an hour, right? Why are you not sticking to your word? This is ridiculous. And I was just like, whoa, I just got into a call too late, I'm sorry. And she was really upset, and I just said, all right, I love you, but I got to take some space. I don't want to be around you when you're that way, because you don't seem like you want me to be around. And then by saying that, she's like, you don't know what I want. So I'm not trying to tell you what my problems are in life. I'm trying to show you this lesson that I learned. So I left, right? I said, I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm just going to go walk away, and we'll talk about it later. And so as I was driving, because I drove away, I just felt so bad. I'm like, wow, this is all my fault. I caused this, and I told her I love her before I left, and she didn't say she loved me. And she's my mom. She didn't even say she loved me. Like, she doesn't love me. Like, my mom doesn't love me. How can I be loved? How can anybody love me if my own mother doesn't love me? And I just kept running these stories through my head about how I was unloved, and so I called my friend up and I asked, what? Why am I feeling this way? And they pointed out, like, what? This is so important that you hear this. And it's transformed my life. And all the ideas that I have, not all the ideas I have are my ideas. I just hear them and I translate them because I'm just a messenger. Remember that? I'm not this enlightened guru. I'm just a guy that's learned lessons on how to suffer less and to find the truth and reality. And so I'm just trying to share that with you. So she said to me, how would you talk to somebody who is telling you what you're saying to me? What would you tell them? So what would you tell yourself, essentially? And I really thought about that. And I was like, okay. Well, I would tell that person that you're giving your power away to somebody else to decide whether you're loved or not. And when you give that power to somebody, when you give them that, am I loved or not? And then they say no, and then you're in shambles, right? The house that you built, as Jesus said, the house, and I'm not religious, but he's got some good teachings. The house that you build, if the foundation isn't strong, it'll get blown away by the wind. So you have to build a solid foundation for your house to stand no matter what comes your way. And this is the lesson, right? The lesson is that by saying, I love you, and then expecting her to respond in a certain way, I was giving that power to them. And this transformed my life. That no matter what anybody thinks of me, when I'm here on this podcast, when I'm talking to her, when I'm talking to other friends, and if they don't validate me when I say things like, what do you think about this? Or do you think I'm worthy? Or whatever. You don't say that to friends, but like, you look in the mirror and you ask yourself, am I pretty? I don't use pretty, but do I look good? Do I look okay? How do I look this morning? When you are not confident in yourself enough to where you even have to ask, where you even wonder whether they love you, you're asking them to confirm your external reality. And what this does is causes a split. And the split being, you're not whole unless you don't look good, unless you look good in the mirror. You're not whole unless they tell you that you're whole. You're not whole unless people like your pictures, your photo, whatever. It could be anything for anybody, right? But that was the lesson for me. It was so apparent to me. And as I realized this lesson, I'm like, wow. So this is my thing. And so in that situation, next time I can come at it with a different perspective, because now I woke up to another reality, right? Like in Inception, when you're waking up to the next reality, it's like that. Like, I woke up to this whole other reality of being worthy. Then I'm like, oh, wait, I don't need to ask them if my content's good. I don't need to ask anybody if my stuff's good. I don't need to refilm stuff. I don't need to do this. I'm just doing this because I don't believe in myself. I don't believe that my content is good. I don't believe that I'm worthy enough. And then all this floodgate of other things that were unrelated that I wondered why I was being that way, I just realized, whoa, it's all leading to that same thing. That I didn't feel whole and worthy unless somebody confirmed that I was. Or I didn't feel like my feelings were validated unless somebody confirmed that I was. So that was one thing that happened over the last 2 weeks. And then after that happened, I posted on Instagram, I'm good. Yeah, let's make some stuff. And then And then literally the next day, within 3 or 4 hours of waking up, a whole nother thing came up. And this was a hard one, but it was the same lesson. So I thought I had understood and learned that lesson, right? But as I pondered what happened, and I'll explain, I realized that it's the same thing. So I had a friend who I was talking with, and I just felt like they were talking over me, weren't respecting the way that I was talking, and that was my perception at the time, truly. And so I told them, I don't like the way that you're talking to me, and they didn't get it. And as they didn't get it, I was expecting them to be like, okay, all right, well, I understand. Even if they didn't like apologize, at least understanding, right? But as I expected them to understand this lesson, that like, well, I wanted them to just understand my feelings, right? As I wanted them to understand my feelings, I was putting it out there. It was the same lesson, but I didn't learn fully. I mean, I learned some, but then I didn't fully learn that lesson. And so the lesson came back around in this weird way. And that lesson was, are my feelings valid? So this time, it wasn't am I loved, it was are my feelings valid? Is what I'm telling you valid? And so by expecting them to confirm whether or not my feelings are valid, I was doing the same exact thing. And so my takeaway, and I hope your takeaway from that, is that when you give your power to somebody else in any respect, and you don't stand in what you say, stand in how you feel. Like if you know that you're loved because you love you, and inherently, if you love you, then you're loved, and you don't need anybody else to love you, then you're whole, right? Then there's not this search or validation that you're looking for, right? You're not trying to get people to understand you, because you realize that you don't need anybody to really understand you. You just need nothing. And when you don't need anything, then you don't have any attachments. It's like the Buddha said, all suffering comes from attachment, right? And it really does. But it's hard to realize. You're like, wait, I can't attach to anything? I can't like anything? And so I was pondering this, and it just comes to me that, it's not about you can't like anything. It's just you don't expect anything from anybody. And when you don't expect anything, then you're free of expectation. And when there's no expectation, then how are you going to suffer? Because you're not expecting anything out of life. You're just good where you are, and you know that you're whole and complete. And then you can post videos, you can make your art, you can make your music, you can do any creativity or make anything beautiful, and you don't need to worry about whether or not somebody likes it, because you're not doing it for them to like it, right? Because for me, for a while, I was making content for people to like the content. And so I was thinking, what are people going to like? What do you think? Like, to myself, like, what's somebody, what? But as I say that, I come to the conclusion that, like, if I'm talking about what I think somebody might like, that's like, it's not even real. That's an illusion, right? Because it's not, you don't really know what people are going to like. You just know what you know because of your life experience or your soul's experience, however tapped in you are to yourself. And so that was a big lesson for me, is that I don't need to try and be this person who does these things. I can just be me. And when I'm me, what do I do every day? Well, I do meditation, I yoga, and I'm not in like a ritual way, but like, what are some things I like to do? I like to read, I like to make music, I like to make videos. Okay, so what am I gonna make videos? And then I don't ask what am I gonna make videos about, because I already know what I already know what I like. I already know what I want to talk about. Like today, I got on and I'm talking about this because this is the lesson that is true for me. So when I stop trying to like be somebody else or ask somebody else, what do you want to see? Because that wouldn't be authentic to me, because I know what messages I have within me. And then as I channel these through, the lessons come to you, and so it is, right? So it's been a week. Been a week or two. And I just found myself not posting because for a while there I was integrating, and the integration comes from the lessons being learned, and then realizing that that lesson was not just pertaining to that thing. The lesson was pertaining to a lot of different avenues that I was filtered. Okay, so to put that into better words, I was filtering reality through this lens, like through this pain of I'm not worthy or I'm not feeling good. But I thought I had already cleared it, but I had cleared some of it, but I hadn't cleared this to this level, obviously, because it was still affecting me. But by willing to be humble enough to look at myself and say, hey man, what is it, right? Instead of looking outwardly and trying to confirm, I did a 180 and went boom. What is it? Like what's within me that is stuck? What energy is stuck within me, and where is it stuck from, right? Because this does not stem from some random event. This was a highly coordinated event from my past that happened, and it was stuck within me because I perceived it that way. So it brought me back to my childhood where I didn't feel loved because my parents were divorced, and I never knew what love really was. So I was looking for love outside of me because I never felt loved by anybody. And as I truly never felt loved by anybody, I was always feeling that unlovedness and always that insecurity because I never felt safe. And that projected into my content that I made. I mean, that projected into when I started making my content, because I tried to do YouTube 5 years ago. And that's how long it took me to learn some of these lessons. So these are not things that just come up and go. I mean, these are things that I've just overlooked for a long time, but they were just coming in such ways that I didn't understand. So then I caused my own suffering until I was willing to look at myself. So what I encourage you to do from this episode is to just take a look at yourself. And in the most loving way, just look within. And you're not looking at a specific place, but just become calm and ask, what is this lesson? And as you ask yourself, what is this lesson in this moment that really I'm struggling with, but I don't really even know what it is? Something might pop in your head. This vivid memory of this time when you felt unloved, you felt unworthy, or you felt ugly. These things might just come to you, and it could be anything. It could be many more things than that. And as those things come to you, that is a clear indication that needs to be healed still, that trauma is still within you. And the only way to clear that is with your presence and awareness, by feeling it, by really looking at it, not just half looking at it and being like, oh, I'm good, but actually sitting with it. And as you sit with it, you let it pass, because eventually it will pass. It always does. And when you really become present and you shine that light of awareness on the darkness, when you shine that light, you become free. And you become free only by your own will. And I mean that nobody's going to do it for you. And I don't mean that in a blunt way. I mean that in I had to save myself. And when I saved myself, I saved others, because imagine all the pain I would have caused everybody if I had chose to stay that way. And I really thought about, think of all the people that I would affect in my life. And that through that distortion that I was looking through, how different it would be. And is it worth it to hold on to this, even though it's really hard to release in that moment? Is it worth it to hold on to it? Or can I help so many people by just being compassionate enough and loving enough to myself that clearing it is worth it? And so I did. And so it is. And when I did clear it, I became free. And when I was free, there's nothing to worry about. And when there's nothing to worry about, you did the work. And then I'm walking the walk. I never, ever, ever, ever wanted to talk the talk and not walk the walk. I'm not that type of guy, right? I always ask people, what do you think the lesson here is? And I always try to be introspective and reflective on everything that I do. If I ever cause any pain with anybody, I try to really look within myself and see, did I project that, or is that their issue? And when I can understand and stand in my power and know that if you're perceiving me to be a certain way, then that's your issue, and that you can't tell me how I am, right? That's so important. That's so important to know that you're loved and you're worthy, no matter if somebody tells you that you're stabbing them in the back. And you're like, no, you're perceiving that I am, but I'm not taking that on, because that was never my intention. And if you interpreted it that way, then I think you're talking through your pain, right? And that's okay. And having love and compassion for that person, and understanding that they might not understand that you look at reality that way. And I know that was complex, but you're perceiving reality a certain way, and you are standing in your ground and your love and your power, and you know that you're just trying to help and be compassionate to all beings most of the time. And when you're doing this as much as you possibly can at that consciousness level that you're at, and somebody else says, you're not being this, you know that you're doing the best you can. And you did it with the best intentions for everybody involved. And as you did that, did it for everybody involved in the way that you did it for yourself. You did it for others that were also a part of your channel, so to speak, or your page. Then it becomes more about the collective, right? Because the healing of myself is so that I can help others, right? Because I can't truly serve others, and you can't truly serve others until you've served yourself, because you are everybody else. Okay, what I mean by this is that the universe comes from one infinite creator. No religion. Don't even go down that path. I'm talking about it comes from this one unified field, this infinite field of potentials. However you want to word it, source, great spirit, what the Indians called it. I mean, whatever you want to call it. It all comes from one. And as I see all of these others in that moment, they seem like others. But as I see them projecting back to me something, it's always a gift. Even if they're insulting me, even if they're telling me that I'm doing something wrong, it's a gift. Why? Because there's a lesson to be learned. There's always something to be learned. And so when people come at me a certain way, I always have the opportunity to react with love, compassion, and kindness, and joy, even for the lesson. And even if they don't understand, why are you happy when I'm yelling at you? Right? You're not responsible for their misperception, for their madness, for their suffering, their pain. They're only responsible for their pain body. And as you clear yourself, you're free. And then as you clear yourself, you realize that everybody's just reflecting their life through their own lenses of reality, through their own pain that they have not cleared. So as you clear yourself through these lessons that life gives you, you're free. You're free. And the reason why, on a deeper level, it comes in waves instead of all at once, because you can clear yourself. It is possible. I do want to say, it is possible for you to clear yourself all at once. It's possible for you to clear all of your pain, sorrow, misguidedness, judgment for anybody else, and return back to presence in one moment. It is. It is possible. It's very rare, but it is possible. And the reason why it's rare is because it takes so much removal of the ego that most people can't do it. But it is there. So there are certain beings that are able to achieve this state of egolessness, basically, by just completely understanding in one moment that it's all an illusion, right? The pain and the suffering that you think you have within you, it's all an illusion. But what happened for me was that it came up in waves. It's coming up in waves, and it's not coming up all at one time. Boom! But that's okay, right? Everybody's on a different journey. Everybody's doing their own thing. And I think that the point of this is to realize that it's not really a journey. And I say that in the most interesting way. Because when you consider it a journey, then there's always going to be something else, right? There's something that you're not out here, right? You're not something, right? And there's something over here that you need to achieve. But really, there's just a weight that needs to be lifted off of you. But you can always lift that weight off you whenever you want. But the lessons in life, the karma, so to speak, happens like this because you're just, most people like me, at least, and I can't speak for most people, but at least for me, I wasn't able to just realize that all of this was an illusion and then boom, good, because I didn't understand. But now I understand through these external holographic reality reflecting it back to me. The Matrix showing me what essentially is stuck within me. And when it showed me and I took it a certain way, I was able to clear it. But you can always clear it all at one moment. And these are beings like Eckhart Tolle who can do that and who have done that, who have cleared it all in one moment, who have realized that it's basically all an illusion and that you are perfection and love right now. And you don't need to wait. You really don't need to wait. And as you wait, you become this imperfect being, but you are perfect right now. So that on the deeper level is the truth of reality. But it can come in many different ways because reality itself has infinite potentials. Every day, every moment, decisions are made. And this creates different timelines. And as different timelines are created, then reality has different universes, right? Some may say that reality is created by every decision by every person. And each decision creates a different universe. Imagine how complex. Imagine how complex. Imagine how many realities, how many universes there are if every decision by every person creates a new one every day. Imagine. This is what infinite means, is that you just can't. There's so many that you can't count it. You can't count it. The amount of decisions made every day is wild. By one person. And then imagine 2, 10, 20, 7 billion. It just keeps compounding. And then it gets convoluted, as Dolores Cannon would say. Rest in peace. Oh my gosh. So, I hope that this episode has been healing for you, has been able to show you that there is a light, and there is always a light, and that light can be reached at any moment. It just matters of how willing are you to drop your own idea of who you are, right? And as you drop this idea of this, you're this person who's experienced these things, you come back to your own presence. Because if you just ask yourself when you're sad, who's feeling sad? Who's sad right now? And if you can observe that sadness, and you can observe the being sad by observing the observer, you realize that you're behind all of it. And that reality is really just reflecting literally like a dream. Imagine in your dream, if you don't get oneness, I hope this analogy will help you. So, imagine in a dream, when you wake up and you think, oh shit, I just jumped out of a plane, like, I just did all these crazy things, and this owl tried to teach me a lesson, and then this bear came along and said something to me, and when you wake up, what do you think? Like, who was in that dream? Was it you? Was it all you? Was it your spirit guides? Were you in the astral realms? Were you? And according to most people, they would say that, well, I dreamed that. Right? I dreamed all that in the dream. So if you dreamed everything in the dream, then isn't inherently everything you? So just like in a dream where you are everything in the dream, so is this reality. And this reality consists of basically yourself. Imagine you're in a game. And I want you to take this with the most open mind. Imagine you're in a game. And in this game, there's things that are within you that you consider to be problems, or you don't even know. You might not even know what is within you that is causing your pain, right? And so if you don't know what's within you, how is the universe supposed to show you that there's suffering happening if you don't even know that you're suffering, right? It's got to show you through pain. It's got to throw you a loop. It's got to throw you through these different avenues of sorrow so that you realize that through this pain you can triumph. That through this pain comes joy. And as you transcend these by coming back from personhood and realizing that these events that were happening to you are not really what they seem they are, and they're really just an illusion. As you realize that these events are an illusion, and that you are not your experiences, then you free yourself. You free yourself. And what's more valiant than that? What is more valiant than that? Than freeing yourself. Freeing yourself from pain. I mean, what do people want in life, right? Think about it. Most people, I would like to think, don't want to be sad. So when they're speaking through sadness and anger, they're not doing that on purpose, right? And they are you. And so, on a deep level, when somebody is upset with you, if you can somehow find a way to realize that if you're an immortal being outside space and time, living this temporary experience, experiencing this reality, but not really are the reality, then at some point, you're going to be experiencing reality through their eyes, because they're you. So it's just like a game, like I was saying. You might go in the game as one character, and you play as that character. But imagine you go into a game as all characters at once, but you had to split yourself up. But you were infinite, so you just had to split yourself up in order to play the game. So that's what you are. You're a split of that higher self and that oversoul, or that creator, if you'd like to say that, or that source, if you'd like to say that, or unified field. So you just had to split yourself in order to play the game. So you're still the oneness, right? You're still God incarnate, some may say, and I say God with so much hesitance because I don't want people to think this is religious, because it turns people off. And I get it, because I was raised Christian, and there's a lot of lies, deception in there, so a lot of pain. But If that word God triggers you, it's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. That there's some healing. There's something within you that's stuck. Because if a word is affecting you to that level where you want to turn me off, turn anybody off that says God, then that means that you haven't healed that part of you that dislikes that word, because only you are perceiving through that lens of dislike. You might not be the only one, but you're the one perceiving, right? And as you perceive reality through that lens, the word God is inherently good or bad. It is not good or bad. It's just there. Just like this hat. This hat's not good or bad. I mean, it's just a hat, right? That's reality. It's wild, but that's reality. Just is. Reality is just here. It's doing its thing. And then each person, there's one reality in this universe, right? And there's 7 billion different worlds. There's each individual person, which is a part of the whole, because it all comes from the same. You see it? And if it all comes from the same, then it's just each individual perceiving reality in a certain way. So what the point of that whole shebang was is that other person that's insulting you is you. But if you're from outside of time, then you can come in whenever you want. So you're coming in here and here at the same time, but you don't realize that it's you. It's perceived separation, right? This is what there is no separation means. Is that if everything comes from the same source, it's like you're in a dream where everything happened inside of your being, so to speak. But I'm saying that with the analogy and not assuming that the astral realms are to be considered. Because according to some perspectives, which are valid, that when you sleep, you go into the astral realm and you go into a different perspective. And that's a whole different thing. But if you're talking about reality, like, wow, that was the dream, you wake up to a different level of reality. And what can it teach you, right? What can you learn from your dreams that you dream at night and realize that this reality is another version of that dream? And that you're just going to wake up to this eventually. Eventually, you're just going to wake up, and it might not feel like waking up, but that's the best term I can use. That's why people in this spiritual community use the term woke. They use it because it symbolizes a kind of meaning that society is asleep in a way to themselves, to their immortality, to what they are. And that's part of the game. Realize that they're just playing a role as the asleep. Because if everybody was awake, I mean, how much fun would it be? What would we do? From one perspective, what would we do? Right? So, as you realize that people are playing roles in your life in order to teach you a lesson, in order to help you to learn, that you can become free. And when you return to presence and love, you don't have anything to learn. You can pick up things and experiences, but you don't have to learn anything. There's nothing to learn once you are in love unconditionally, 24/7, 365 for the rest of your life. Once you're there. And I really hope to get there someday. Not by bypassing, but by realizing my true nature. But hey, I'm just here now, doing the best I can with what I got. So, I hope this podcast helped you today, my friend, and thank you for being with me here in this now moment. And the overall lesson that I've learned in these past 2 weeks has just been stepping back. Like, just step it back into your own power. Bring it back to your own being. And know that nobody can take love away from you. Nobody can take joy and compassion away from you. And yes, it is possible, no matter how hard it might seem, to give joy and compassion and love no matter what. This is what overcoming the world means. It means that you can overcome these external events that happen that are basically testing you in a way. What are you going to do when somebody calls you names? What are you going to do when you post something online and you're worried about it? Are you going to keep worrying about it? Or are you just going to stand in your power and say, that was epic. I just made this podcast and it was epic. And I don't care what anybody has to say about it, right? I made this video. I made this music. I made this art. I made this drawing. I read this book and I want to talk about it. Talk about it. Do it. What's stopping you? It's you. It's an illusion that's stopping you. It's an illusion that you're not enough, illusion that you need to be skinnier, better looking, you need to have a better voice, you need to be better at drawing, be better at music, but that's the game. That's the game. And as you realize that it's all a game, you can truly express your full soul, your highest self through this reality, through this time space, because it's just an illusion that you're not enough. It's just an illusion that you don't exist in love all of the time. You always exist in love because love is your true nature. Love is within. Not within the body, but within your soul, because your soul is made from love. Love is what created everything. And as love created everything, we're here. What holds the fabric of reality together. Thank you. Thank you for being alive right now. Thank you for being willing to hear this. For walking this journey in a way. And realizing that maybe the journey can end. Depending on how willing I am to look at myself. That's what I did. That's what I did with the whole experience. I looked at myself and asked myself, what am I? What am I? Am I this pain, this suffering? And when you really, really, really get those glasses on, you say, hey pain, I'm looking right at you. Oh, I mean, so you were just an illusion this whole time? I just felt unloved, and I was never unloved, but I was just perceiving reality that way this whole time? Yeah. Shit. That's what you want to tell yourself. But I encourage you to stand in your own power. Never let anybody tell you. And I don't want it to sound cringe, but this is the shit that I heard when I was like 7. Never let anybody tell you who you are, what you are. But it's actually true. It's actually true. That nobody can ever tell you. Nobody can ever tell you how you are. Only you can tell you how you are. And be willing and open enough to look at yourself. And there might be some things that you have done that have not been in the most compassion and love. And be willing enough to say, yeah, that was me, but that's not me now. That was a previous version of me. But this one right in front of you is loving and compassionate. And if they can't understand that and they're judging you for your past, let it be. The superpower that you have is the ability to just let it be. To just accept. To just accept that other people are a certain way. And when you accept that other people are a certain way, you don't expect anything. And then you're free again. Man, I gave you like 10 tools to be free. I hope that's enough. I wish somebody would have told me that. And I really listened. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've heard it before, but I didn't actually hear it. Right? Sometimes it just goes in and out. Right? Goes over the head. But I really hope that you hear it. And I'm not attached to whether you hear it or not. But it's there. It's in the open. and save yourself. Because it's worth it. You're worth it. And once you save yourself, you can save others. And then this is the collective rising of consciousness that we want to see. This is the collective Schumann resonance spikes, 158 hertz, that we want to see. Shout out to Junk DNA. And this is ascension, right? That's what ascension means. I mean, people might not understand what that really means. It just means that people wake up to themselves, and then when they wake up to themselves, they wake others up, and then boom, then there's more, 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 and then it... Oh, okay. Then everybody's awake. There it is. That's the game. Welcome. Welcome back. Because you already were loved, now you're just realizing it again. You were never separate from what you were. You're just playing in the solution. Because it's fun, right? Sometimes it doesn't seem like it. Sometimes it really doesn't seem like it, but that's why I love humor. That's why I don't take this shit serious. Because when you start taking it serious, then it's dense. But really, it's just play. And the more you come at your own shadows with just this playful kind of innocence of like looking at it and really being open to what it is, then you realize, oh, I was unloved because one time my dad wouldn't leave me alone when I didn't want to go to church, and he wouldn't listen to me. I went in my room and shut my door, and he opened the door and started to argue with me, and then I felt like nobody loved me. And that caused me to project that for 10 years. For 10 years. That's one thing, right? Could be multiple things, or it could be one big event. But just accepting that happened. Just accepting. Okay. I see you. I see you. I see you pain, and I send you love. I send love to that version of me back in the day. Which is really now, because time's an illusion, right? But I sent that version of me back in the day love. Just send it love. Just send it love. And as I sent it love, the timeline cleared. Because as I transcended time backwards, back to my pain, and I went deep, and I saw the vividness of that memory, I sent it love through my heart. Really sent it love. Like, not playing around, not joking, not bypassing, not ignoring. I just love it. I love the whole experience. No matter what, I unconditionally love it. As I did it, the energy, wherever it's stuck, could be your root, could be your sacral, could be in your heart chakra. Your heart chakra could be closed because of that event. As you do it, gets it churning again. It gets it going. The wheel of the chakra gets moving again. The energy starts moving. And as the energy starts moving, it can clear the stagnant energy out. And this is healing. This is healing on a multi-dimensional level. And I'm not trying to stand up here and say I have all the answers, because I don't. But I know that I don't know. Like, Nick, what? You just told me that you knew the answers, and now you would... I know that I don't know what's going on fully in this reality, because there's always infinite amount of information that you could know at a certain point, due to different books you could have read, due to how deep you could have went in meditations. There's infinite. And you'll never be able to learn everything about this reality. You'll never. There's always going to be something that you don't know. So why not just know yourself, right? Just know yourself. And as you know yourself, you know reality, because reality is you. And it's not as complex as you have to make it. You'll never understand, better said, you'll never understand the complexities of this reality. Every detail of everything. So I just went within. And as I went within, I became free. Free of that pain, of that memory, and many more. There may be more. There may not be more. I don't know. But I'm going to live in compassion and joy and love. And that when those things come up, I'm going to give that thing compassion and love. Unconditional acceptance that it happened. And that whenever I'm perceiving reality to be a certain way, whenever I'm perceiving somebody to be a certain way, and it's causing me suffering, it's me. That's my issue. Because I'm suffering, and I can only cause me to suffer. You got it? You got it. And as you realize you can only cause you to suffer, you break that chain of that event, of that thing that's causing you it. No matter what it is. I wondered why some of the poorest people in the world can be the happiest. That's why. Because suffering is of the mind. That's why some of the richest people in the world commit suicide. That's why some of the richest people in the world are the most unhappy. Because they don't really know what they are. They don't know the pleasure of the little things. Because they aren't accepting in some way. They're looking for love outside of them. It could be a million different things. But just be aware that all you need to be happy is to realize that you're happiness itself. This is the way. Thank you for being here, my friend. Take that moment there for a second just to sit in this peace, just to sit in this unity, to sit in this love. And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you so much, my friend, and I will see you in the next, all right? Peace. All right, that'll do it for this episode, my friend. Thank you so much for being here. And if you aren't subscribed on YouTube yet, hit that subscribe button. That way you can stay up to date when I'm posting the podcast. And I got plenty more podcasts to check out right here on YouTube. And if you want to check out more content, more styles of content, I'm on Instagram every day. nick.zei. Go check me out. I will see you there. All right. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next. All right. Peace.